Good morning, friends. It's so nice to be with all of you today. My name is Susan Foote-Martin, and I'm the Vice President of Communications for the Wisconsin Association of Railroad Passengers. And it seems like every year we have more and more people come to these events that we sponsor. We try and do them around the state so that everybody has a chance to actually come here in person, but we also do this virtually. And that makes this group pretty special. I think the things that we're going to cover today is the general questions that we hear from our members and from the public about the expansion of passenger rail in Wisconsin. We've gotten some wonderful federal funding that is already working for our corridor idea projects, and we'll be hearing more about those today and where we are in the process. And we not only do we want more trains in Wisconsin, we want greater frequency, which is sometimes not thought about very much or talked about very much. But from my perspective, I think the more choices we give the traveling public, the more demand there's going to be for rail to get us to places. We need new equipment. We all know that. Some of us traveled here by train today, and you know our cars are old, some of our engines are old. We need new equipment, and that is something that we're going to be learning more about today as well, because new things are ordered, new things are being made, new things are on the way for us. So today I've already talked to so many of you, and just exciting things are happening out there. People are very, very interested in this topic. It's a proven fact that most people in Wisconsin and throughout the country want more passenger rail, and the sooner the better. It takes a long time to do these things, but it's up to all of us to do our parts to let legislators know that this is the way we need to go in Wisconsin and throughout the country. So I feel like I'm really in the right place at the right time with the right people today. And I hope you're going to enjoy what we have, enjoy your food today, enjoy friendships, make new friendships, and that this will bring us closer to working together to bring us more rail. Now, we're lucky in Wisconsin, and we're very lucky in Dane County, and especially Madison, to have a wonderful mayor who is here today to give us her welcome. I first met her in Portage on, well, it was in the spring when the Borealis was doing its inaugural run, and I saw her in the crowd. I've been following her work and her enthusiasm for passenger rail and getting a train to Madison. She's right out in front on this issue, and she's working hard on transportation. And so we're really lucky to have Mayor Satya Rhodes-Conway with us today. So she's the 58th mayor of Madison. She is focused on providing high-quality public services, affordable housing, rapid transit, equitable economic growth, and combating climate change, which trains are a big part of that job. She has extensive experience in local policy and practice, having worked with mayors across the country for over a decade, and having served 3 terms in the Madison Common Council. Elected in 2019 and again in 2023, she is the city's 2nd female mayor and the first out LGBTQ person to serve as a Madison mayor. So please join me in welcoming the mayor.
Just quickly, as part of the mayor's introduction, my name is Chris Ott. I'm a board member of WisARP. And as a Madison resident, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows what a great leader the mayor has been on local transit issues. If you are visiting Madison, welcome, or if you live in Madison but haven't used it yet, the Madison Metro system has really changed for the better over the last few years with a new BRT system that is has greater frequency, it's electric, it has a new payment system, ridership is up, and it's become the best way to get around in Madison for many trips. So thank you. I wanted to recognize the mayor for her leadership on this and the work that she's doing to bring passenger rail to Madison.
Yeah. Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all here. For those of you who are not Madisonians, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Hi to the folks on Zoom. Good to see you as well. And let me start by saying thank you. It's not often that I get to be in a room full of people who like trains. And it's really a delight because I am a person who likes trains too. And in fact, you referenced the portage stop when we launched that Borealis. My partner and I took the Borealis to the Twin Cities to see Minneapolis Lynx. It's their WNBA team. And it was both times, there and back, the train was packed. So it is a very popular service, and it gives me hope that there is a huge demand for more passenger rail in Wisconsin. Passenger rail, I don't have to tell you all this, but passenger rail connects our cities, it supports our economic growth, and it gives people more choices to get where they need to go. And here in Madison, we are absolutely committed to doing everything we can to move the vision of passenger rail in Madison forward. We're working very closely with the state of Wisconsin, with Amtrak, and with our neighboring communities to make what we're now calling the Hiawatha West Extension, which formerly was known as the Milwaukee, Madison, Eau Claire, Twin Cities Corridor. You can see why we want to call it Hiawatha West. But we want to make that a reality. And it's not just another line on a map. It's the most promising and highest performing next step in Wisconsin's rail future. It is the corridor with the strongest ridership potential, the best revenue outlook, and the widest community support in Wisconsin. It is the absolute best choice for the next piece of passenger rail in Wisconsin. It's also the most technically ready. The existing rail infrastructure between Milwaukee and Madison is in good condition, would require relatively minimal capital improvements to support new passenger service. And this makes it a pretty low risk and high reward investment, one that could be up and running sooner and with less cost than the other corridors that the state is contemplating. I'm not biased at all. In short, it is the best opportunity to demonstrate the success and to quickly build momentum for future rail expansions across the state. I really do think the Borealis is laying the groundwork here because we are seeing the tremendous demand that is on that line, and I think it makes the case for Hiawatha West that there is demand. There are definitely people who are driving to Columbus from Madison to ride the train. And when I talk to leaders of other communities, it's very clear that there's demand both for folks to come to Madison on the train, but also for Madisonians to get primarily to Milwaukee for economic opportunity. There's plenty of people that make that commute, and imagine if they could do it on a train. So I just want to give you a little context of sort of where we are now, what we've been working on. You probably know that Hiawatha West is one of the 4 corridors that WisDOT is currently studying under the Federal Corridor ID program, and these are all in the relatively early stages of planning. The first step of the program was 100% federally funded, but the next phases require first a 10% and then a 20% match from the local or the state level. And the governor did request funding in his most recent budget, but per usual, that was not included in the final adopted budget by the legislature, which means that the state now has to decide if and how and perhaps which corridors to move forward. We think that Hiawatha West is the clear choice here. It's not just good for Madison, although it is really good for Madison. It's also good for Wisconsin. It can serve as a prototype for future expansions in the Hiawatha corridor, showing that we can successfully have passenger rail between Madison and Chicago. And it's a great example of what can happen when state and local partners work together. We are fully committed in the city of Madison to doing our part to make this a reality. We're working, as I said, with WisDOT and Amtrak and regional partners. We've had multiple conversations with both Pewaukee and Watertown, and have also had conversations with folks that would be in the next extension of the line from Madison to the Twin Cities, to make sure that the state is focusing on the right corridor. We have been very proactive in our station planning, and I'm happy to say that the other communities of Pewaukee and Watertown are also joining us in that effort. But Madison has done a fairly in-depth study on site options, the trade-offs between them, how a station could best serve our residents, our visitors, and our growing economy. And we're coordinating pretty carefully with the railroads and our infrastructure partners to make sure that this, the prospect of a station could move forward pretty efficiently and safely. I think if there's one thing that you hear from me today, it should be this. We're not waiting to be asked. We're getting ready now so that when funding and opportunity align, Madison will be ready to move. And I'm really encouraged by some of the conversations that we've had about our opportunities here, and again with our partners about the desire to make this a reality. We are also perhaps obviously encouraging the state to keep this corridor, Hiawatha West, at the top of the list while federal programs like Corridor ID are still open and funded. There's, of course, a lot of uncertainty at the federal level about funding at this point in time, but as far as we know at the DOT level, they are still funded and their programs are still moving forward. So we really think that we have a window here that we should be taking advantage of. And a lot of the work that we've done, Chris mentioned our bus rapid transit system, is really based on our experience working with the federal DOT on the bus rapid transit projects. When we started planning, I mean, Madison has been talking about some kind of rapid transit for about 30 years. But when we actually really started focusing on bus rapid transit as the option and moving that forward, we were told that it would be very unlikely that we would get federal funding. It might take years for that to come through. But we said, better to be ready. And so we did the hard work of planning and designing and making some tough choices about what would go where to make sure that we would be ready when that opportunity came. We focused on the things that we thought were most important for our community that would make BRT not just functional, but actually a model system. And you referenced earlier frequency as a super important thing in transit, and we completely agree. As part of doing bus rapid transit here in Madison, we focused on that balance between coverage and frequency. And when we went out and talked to the community about what they wanted, they didn't want no coverage and only frequency, but they did want to tip towards frequency. So now, where we once had our most frequent buses outside of campus coming every 30 minutes, now we have some portions of town where you can get a bus every 5 or maybe even every 7 minutes because of the frequency in those corridors. And what that means is people don't have to think when they want to get on a bus. They can just go to the stop and there will be a bus. I experience it even in my preferred bus route, which I commute on regularly. It's every 15 minutes, more or less, and I really can just walk out my front door and go to my bus stop, and maybe I'm going to be standing there for a minute or two, but there's going to be a bus soon, right? And it's not too much of a burden, at least yet. We'll see how winter goes, to be waiting for that bus. And so frequency really is important, and that is something that we really have focused on in bus rapid transit. But what I really want to share with you is the idea of being prepared, right? The idea of being ready to seize the moment when it's here. And so we are working hard not just to think about where a station might be in Madison, but actively working with Amtrak and WisDOT to understand what the challenges in the corridor are, working with the railroads to understand what would need to be done to the rail, or working with our partner communities on where they might put their stations and what that might take. We want to make sure that we are ready. And in fact, that readiness extends even to being willing to commit funding from Madison to make sure that we can move to the next phase of Corridor ID, because we believe that it has such an incredible benefit for our community, for our economy, and for our residents. And we think that Hiawatha West Extension is poised to do what transportation investments do best, to connect people and to grow economies. It might be students and families who are traveling between either to UW-Madison or to UW-Milwaukee or other educational institutions along the way. It might be business travelers who are coming here to Madison. You may have heard that we have a sort of a large company in this region that many people want to come visit, not to mention many, many other health and health tech companies. It might be folks who need to go to Milwaukee on a regular basis, or it might be folks who need to go to Chicago for business travel. There's a not insignificant amount of that. And of course, it will be tourists, right? It will be folks who, just like myself and my partner, wanted to go and catch a sports game, or maybe they want to come and visit a museum, or maybe they want to go to Milwaukee for the day, or down to Chicago, or love the Art Institute. I mean, there's a lot of tourism opportunities on this corridor. And that also helps to build our economy. It also would connect Madison to the national passenger rail network, which is not insignificant. I think there will probably be a higher frequency of short-range trips, but the fact that you could get on a train in Madison and connect to everywhere that is served by Amtrak is not an insignificant benefit. And it's something that I find very exciting. My partner and I years ago took the train from Oakland to Chicago, and it was one of the best trips that we've ever done. I thought, oh God, I'm going to have to bring a whole bunch of books, and we should download podcasts, and I'll bring newspapers, and no. All I wanted to do was sit in the observation car and watch the world go by, because it's so amazing. And so it was really, I mean, I'm sure you all know it's fantastic. It's a great way to travel. So I'm excited about that possibility as well. The point is, this isn't just a transportation project. It's an economic development project. It's a quality of life project. And it is about strengthening regional ties, supporting sustainable travel, and expanding access to opportunity. And Madison is on board. We are doing everything we can to be ready, and we will continue to do so. So I want to end again by thanking you for letting me join you this morning, thanking you for your advocacy and your support of passenger rail. I am not able to stay with you all day, but my transportation director, Christoph Spieler, is here, and I'm sure would be happy to answer questions about the work the city is doing. And I really hope that you have a great day, a great conference, learn a lot, but most importantly, I hope that you will advocate with your legislators for Hiawatha West Extension, because while the city of Madison is going to do everything we can to move this forward, we cannot do it without partners. And we have to have folks in the legislature who are supportive of this, because at the end of the day, we will absolutely have to have state funding. And to do that, we have to have enough legislators that are willing to vote to keep that in a governor's budget, or to put it in if the governor doesn't. So please, particularly those of you who are not from Madison, please lobby your legislators to fund passenger rail, and in particular to fund the Hiawatha West Extension. Thank you so much.